What's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer here to share with you another top 5 list for you to share with you guys today. Now, with the new release of the PlayStation 5 reveal being pushed back to June 11th, which is really only 48 hours from today because I'm filming this on the 9th, I thought it would be really cool to actually go back and look at the PlayStation 4 and share what I believe are my personal top 5 favorite features that the PlayStation 4 had. Now, this idea was sent to me by one of my viewers going by the name of Mr. Batman of Neo Gotham, so thanks for this idea. And before I jump into my top 5 favorite PlayStation 4 features, if you could, I would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up if you happen to like it by the end. And do not forget to press the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, or heck, maybe even go back and see some of my previous videos. So, let's not sugarcoat this. The PlayStation 4 was a massively successful console, undoubtedly. I mean, selling well over 100 million units, I think even becoming, I believe, the second best-selling PlayStation console, only being eclipsed by the PlayStation 2, which that is like the best-selling console of all time. I think we can all just concede that the PlayStation 4 had a number of great functions that made it probably such a dominating and successful console. So, these are the top 5 features that I'm not going to say were directly contributing to its massive success, because there's a number of main factors, but these are the top 5 features that I really enjoyed the most during its lifespan. So, going over with number 5, and this is perhaps a function that a lot of you probably don't even remember, and that is its remote play function with the PlayStation Vita. Now, look, the PlayStation Vita is a great handheld. Why it failed so badly can be contributed to a number of factors. Certainly not on the hardware itself, because it is a massively superior handheld to its predecessor, the PSP, which surprisingly, that was a just surprisingly massively successful handheld. This was supposed to be for the PlayStation 4, what the PSP was supposed to be for the PlayStation 3. And I think one of the cool functions was remote play, which was also a function that was on the PlayStation 3. So it's clear that Sony did think that the remote play function between the handheld and a console could be transferred over to the next generation. And while the PS Vita wasn't as successful, I do think the function was still very useful. I know I certainly used it a number of times and certainly enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a little gimmicky, and yeah, some people might have had some connection problems, but it's something that didn't happen to me too often, which is why, while I didn't use it for too many games, I think when I actually did use the remote play function, it worked perfectly fine for me, and heck, I actually enjoyed playing games that way. So that's why I would put it as number 5 on my list. Going into number 4 is a function that I'm not even sure many of you guys are even aware of, and that is the power save function. Now look, one of the most annoying things I think all of us can agree the PlayStation 4 had is the constant updates. The PlayStation 4 had so many updates. It had updates for its system. It had updates just to add certain apps. It had updates for your games. And so it could get kind of annoying. So I think a feature of allowing your PlayStation 4 to run on a lower level and still be able to download these updates was very helpful. I cannot tell you how many times where I was wanting to play a game late at night and an update would happen, and it was a really big update, and depending on your internet connection, which I believe at the time wasn't all that great, and I've recently spent like $200 upgrading my internet connection, so it's like super fast now, so it's not so much of an issue nowadays. You know, just the ability to just have it run on a lower setting without turning it off completely, and then by the time you wake up or when you come back from doing another activity, it's already downloaded, and so you don't have to actually wait for the machine to be on to do so. Hopefully they kind of improve the use of the updates so that they're a little bit more faster and maybe not as often. But heck, I think the fact that the option was there, and it certainly did help in a number of cases, I think was a really great feature, which I personally really did enjoy, which is why I would place it 4th on my list. Going on to number 3 is a function that really was only possible on the PlayStation 4 Pro, and that's the inclusion of the HDR. Now, the HDR is kind of like this, the best way I can describe it, it kind of just changes the overall visuals of a game. Now, there are some games that actually do have aspects that allow you to get a much better look of a game, especially if you have the right TV, which I did actually have to upgrade to a 4K TV in order to actually use this function properly. But I do think that if you do have the proper television and are playing the right game, you can get some absolutely stunning visuals from your games. And while I don't agree with some of the developers that said that, heck, once you play a game in HDR, you can't go back and play something not in HDR, because that's not true. I'm still going back and playing on my original PlayStation 4 with games that do not incorporate HDR, and those games still look phenomenal. But I do think that the HDR function will be implemented a lot in future PlayStation 5 games. So the fact that you can actually have games look as great as they are now, and trust me, the PlayStation 4 is a powerful system that has a lot of absolutely stunning and beautiful games. And the fact that you can actually kind of enhance those visuals, I think is a pretty cool function. But heck, again, I don't think it's overly impressive. Trust me, there's a lot of games that don't use HDR that are so visually very impressive. But I do think it's maybe worth the little bit extra money to actually upgrade to a Pro. I actually think it's worth it once you experience it firsthand, which is why I would place it as number 3 on my list. Going into number 2 is I would say number 2 and number 1 are really more features that are based upon this controller with the system. And I think, undoubtedly, one of the coolest additions to the controller was the inclusion of the speaker. The speaker is something that I do not think the Xbox One has, but I think it actually gives PlayStation 4 game playing a little bit of an immersive experience. Because as some of you guys know, there are plenty of games and the PlayStation 4 has in its library, both exclusive and non-exclusive, that if someone is talking to you on a radio or trying to get in communication with you, instead of hearing the audio come from obviously your speaker or your television set, to have it actually come from the speaker itself, I think is a really, really cool experience. As I said before, I think it adds a much more immersive experience to your gameplay, and it's clear that Sony clearly saw that, because as we've seen from the PlayStation 5 controller, that is definitely something that is going to be added to the next generation. So that immersion is something that they openly recognize, and I think when Sony sees something that they see is actually helpful and actually enhances our gameplay experience, they definitely want to continue that going. And that's why I believe the speaker on the PlayStation 4 controller is undoubtedly one of the coolest features that this generation brought. But without question, going into number 1, without a doubt, the best feature that the PlayStation 4, or mainly this generation in general, actually incorporated, that I think moving forward has to be an absolute must and staple of gaming console experiences moving forward, is the inclusion of the share button, which gives you the opportunity to not only record footage, take screenshots of footage, but stream. I cannot tell you how much this function has helped my channel. I've been doing this channel for 8 years. I have done 93 reviews on it. And in that time, 50 of them would not be possible without this function. Because having the ability to actually record my gameplay footage has just been a godsend and made recording footage for my game reviews or streaming on Twitch or streaming on YouTube considerably more easier. Now, it's not to say that there aren't other ways you could do it, because I do have a capture card and I am still using it in order to record footage from my PlayStation 3 or stream my PlayStation 3. But I think just being able to actually just have a simple button and have everything you need on the console itself, and you can actually change the length of recording time that you want for each one of these sessions. I think this element it changed the game. It made it an absolute helper for gaming channels who want to record footage and show off our gameplay. I mean, there's just so many key videos, just not even review wise, but just gaming wise for my channel, that would not have been possible if I could not record the footage in the best possible quality that I could. Yeah, maybe I might have dished out the little extra money to maybe get a capture card a little bit earlier, but I just think that having it be much more easier to use and not have to have so many elements in order to pull it off, I think it's just much more convenient, and I really enjoyed it. And again, just like the speaker for the PlayStation 4 controller, that is a function that is absolutely being transferred over to the PlayStation 5, and I believe that for every PlayStation or Xbox moving forward needs to have this function. You cannot take this off, otherwise I would be very, very pissed off. So those are my top 5 favorite PlayStation 4 features. Now that you guys have heard my list, I'm really quite curious to know, what are the top 5 favorite PlayStation 4 features that you have enjoyed this generation? Share your list with me and everyone else down below. And if you guys have any great ideas that you think would make for great reaction videos or great ranking videos or another great top 5 list video, please share those ideas with me and everyone else in the comments down below as well. Like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.